But because of her experience in the National Assembly,
MCAs,
it is
only for the benefit of the Finance and Planning voted for you as a governor. And I want to encourage all governors to work with their members of parliament.
My leaps and bounds.
I know there are those who are interested in running
less
for
than 2
county
years
government seats.
And I must take this opportunity to commend
myself,
Governor I will never want
because
to
she's not only raising own source revenue, therefore my governor can
in a way that jeopardizes our national interest.
But please
she's
don't
raising
fear.
her own source
I know our governor fears
in a
a member
way
for
that
Thika.
promotes national interest, encourages labor mobility, encourages capital mobility
the potential
out of other places
to be another Gladys Wanga in Kiambu.
And I thank God that she has the support.
But I have also said without lying, Honorable Speaker, that I believe in the power of women leaders.
Members of,
because our women leaders, Honorable Speaker, are doing great things as governors. Not just Governor Wanga. If you look at my party chair, Governor Cecily Mbarire, she is doing great things in Embu, even with sabotage from a few of us, or one or two of us. It may not be everybody, Honorable Speaker, and we don't have that latitude. I'm not here on a praise and worship session for governors, but I want to encourage them, let them work with other leaders, with their county assembly members, even as we actualize the provisions of this bill, Honorable Speaker, the county government revenue raising process bill, that they may use it to encourage not just the cooperation of other leaders, but the cooperation of their neighboring counties and other counties. I look forward to the day, Honorable Speaker, in this country, the governor of Wajir, the governor of Marsabit, will be working with the governor of Kiambu, the governor for Nyeri, the governor for Kericho, to make sure that those things that are not available in their counties, they are able to exchange, and there is that free mobility of labor, of capital, so that even those of us who come from crowded counties like Kiambu and Kisii, and Nyamira, for instance, where Honorable Irene Mayaka comes from, that the people of Nyamira, the people of Kiambu will feel free to go and invest in Marsabit, to go and invest in Turkana County or Wajir. And indeed, the people of Wajir, and I must commend our brothers and sisters from the far north, they're investing all over across the country. That is the kind of country we all yearn for. And I want to pray that with this, the enactment of this bill, with your support, honorable members, and with the support of our honorable senators, we shall be able to create better revenue-raising measures for our county governments, revenue-raising measures that don't jeopardize our national interests, that encourage not just inter-county trade and inter-county mobility of both capital and labor, but also promote business, promote trade, and promote the prosperity of all our counties and our nation at large. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I want to request my very able deputy. And Honorable Speaker, when I say my very able deputy, the Honorable Member for Kilifi North, the Honorable Owen Bayer, I mean it, my very able deputy. A deputy who cannot even be impeached.
Very well.
Because he's very able. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Honorable Watch, just for the record, I know you are first on the list here, but Majority Leader was within his time. And possibly he has just demonstrated how a bill should be moved. Not a situation whereby you have a bill and you just do it in 2 statements and you sit down. Proceed, Deputy Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you, and from the onset, I second this bill. Honorable Speaker, the first thing I want to say is this is very on time bill, because if we have a bill like this, then it regulates and gives really power on what to do in terms of revenue-raising measures. Honorable Speaker, this bill gives effect to the constitutional article number 209(5). And this article, Honorable Speaker, defines the manner in which the national government, through the National Treasury, may exercise its policy oversight role. Policy oversight role. And it establishes the processes where the county governments may exercise their taxation authority. You know, there has been this idea that, national government may not oversight county governments. It is only the Senate that can do that. But when it comes to money matters, the money bill, the National Assembly has the power to exercise oversight authority and policy on county governments. And that is aptly done by this bill, Honorable Speaker. Because you see, Senate thinks it has an exclusive mandate to oversight the county governments. But this bill, Honorable Speaker, actually defines that the national government, the National Assembly actually has an oversight role in terms of policy on revenue-raising measures, and it establishes the process whereby the county governments may exercise taxation, because taxation is a money matter, and money matters have their residence in this house. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, this bill further regulates the exercises by county governments of their power to impose taxes, levies, and duties. If you look at this bill, Honorable Speaker, it does that. It regulates the exercise by county government of their power to impose. They have power to impose taxes, revenues, levies. County governments have power to do that. But then as a house, this National Assembly, Honorable Speaker, can regulate the exercise, and it has power to do that. Honorable Speaker, why am I saying this is a very important bill? This is a very important bill, and I'll give you a very good example, Honorable Speaker and members. There's a time the President chaired the Port Users Association meeting in Mombasa Port. Port users, all those people that use the ports in Mombasa. And I had the privilege, Honorable Speaker, to be in that meeting. And I think Honorable Badi was in that meeting. And I think Honorable Ichungwa too was in that meeting. But port users, the business people, even across Uganda and Rwanda and other countries, were saying that if you move a container from the port, it is in Mombasa County. So when it is leaving, Mombasa County will charge a levy. When it gets to Taita, Taita County will charge a levy. When you get to Kajiado, Kajiado will charge a levy. By the time it is crossing in Uganda, the trader has lost so much such that it defeats the purpose of having a port in the country, because there is no regulation on how to do it. And each county decides how much. And it was said that the Mombasa port had become too expensive to use. They'd rather shift to Dar es Salaam. And other ports in the region are not Mombasa, because counties were charging a lot of money. And if you have that container passing like 10 counties, then you have a problem. Honorable Speaker, I like the way Honorable Ichungwa put it. Sometimes counties can put levies in such a way they can jeopardize a country's progress. And Honorable Speaker, I want you to hear me on this. The housing is very important. Construction industry is very important. But you see, these raw materials that are used for housing come from certain counties. And if these counties just charge levies, they may make the building industry very expensive. For example, my county of Kilifi is known for having shellac and the material for making cement and clinker and all that. Now, if this county government charges high levies on clinker, charges high on shellac and on quarry dust and all those things, Honorable Speaker, so what happens to the price of cement in this country? The price of the cement in this country goes up. When it goes up...
Or sand from Ukambani.
Yes, or sand from Ukambani. So what happens to the construction industry when we want to grow it in this country? So it makes housing very expensive for you to construct. It even increases, because of demand for loans. Then you can even see that the interest rate of a country will go up just because counties are levying high charges. But this bill, Honorable Speaker, gives us the opportunity to regulate what counties are doing. We are not stopping counties from doing it, but we are saying, counties, please, as you're charging these levies, understand that you also have a national duty, not just a county duty, but a national duty to anchor the economy of the country very well by ensuring that the levies that you're levying are very good. Honorable Speaker, I'll give you another example. Counties, Honorable Speaker, charge levies on hotels, bed occupancies in hotels. They charge that. But you see, Honorable Speaker, it can make it very expensive for tourism to grow in a country. Because people will check, okay, I want to invest in the hotel industry, but a county is charging me this much, apart from the levies that are charged by the national government. And therefore, an investor may not want to invest in the country because of heavy levies and charges from a county. Honorable Speaker, I want you to look at land rates. Land rates, they are determined by counties. So if we impose high land rates on plots, on property, on land, or we make all properties in a county rateable, if I'm an investor, I will not want to invest in the country because, especially at the coast, because land is expensive because of the rates that are being charged. But who is regulating this to ensure that we do not make investing in this country very expensive, Honorable Speaker? And that's why this bill is important, Honorable Speaker. That's why we need to vote in this bill, pass this bill, have it assented, so that we can ensure that this country grows and that counties do not inhibit the growth of counties. Honorable Speaker, I was talking about bed occupancy in hotels. A tourist comes, he's charged levies, he pays for his bed, and then he's told, here, you have to pay county rates. And the tourist says, wait a minute, supposing I went to Zanzibar, would I pay the same? So, next time, and we're having this as a problem in this country, we do not have repeat visitors. We do not have repeat guests. So it makes marketing very expensive because the rates that are charged in hotels now are very high. For example, you have a county charging garbage collection for one small hotel, 25,000 a month. Garbage only, garbage, a small hotel. And it has been passed by the county assembly in their finance bill. So a small hotel is charged 25,000. That same hotel plays music. The county charges money for music. You know, noise pollution and all that, it charges that. The same county charges for license, trade license, it's called trade license. It charges trade license. Then it charges public health license. I hope you understand me, Honorable Speaker. So when you put all these levies, when you put, Erin Mayaka wants me to address her. So if you put all these levies together, it makes it very expensive for you to operate that outfit because it's not regulated. And if we must look at ease of doing business in a country, ease of doing business, Honorable Speaker, which Kenya is ranked, you know, as one of those countries that is improving in terms of ease of doing business in the country. One shop, it's called one-stop shop. You pay all levies and taxes. Even the issue of tax administration itself, levy administration itself, becomes very expensive if it is not regulated. Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, this is a very important piece of legislation that we must hasten to make this country a country that has good index in terms of ease of doing business. So that countries do not levy and continue to levy and continue to levy.
Know, you are excitingly supporting this bill, so Kenyans are following. So how is the bill moderating, regulating?
So Honorable Speaker, if you go into this bill, Honorable Speaker, what it does, the bill provides for the definition of words or expressions used in the bill. That is one. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the bill, Honorable Speaker, I don't want to go into the clauses of the bill, but this bill makes it possible to harmonize taxes. It makes it possible to exercise Article 209(5) of the Constitution to ensure that we have a seamless way of taxation, both at the national government and at the county level. Honorable Speaker, I second this bill and I also support it. And I think it is high time we pass this bill to make Kenya a good investment destination, to make Kenya a destination that many people would want to do business here, including port users. Don't get frustrated because of the many levies that counties are imposing.
Put him on record to second.
I second it, Honorable. I second, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the county government's revenue raising process bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2023, be now read a second time. The first bite goes to the Honorable Anthony Luoch.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I want to begin from the question that you asked the Deputy Majority Leader on what specific aspects of this bill the public would be interested to know would enhance the principles of taxation and the principle of finances set out under the chapter on finances. And Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to start by picking out two issues. First of all, is the role that it has delineated in terms of marking the delineation of the authority and jurisdictions of both the national government and the county government in respect of the duty to collect taxes. This is important because between the two levels of government, this bill therefore then puts a marker on the ground by saying that the primary duty for imposition of taxes, to levy taxes, lays with the national government. What it does is to delegate to the county government the role to levy taxes and puts limitations. And this has been clearly put, Honorable Speaker and members, under Clause 4. And it puts an overall oversight caveat that the county government shall, within 10 months of imposition or levying of taxes or putting proposals for collection of taxes, submit to the National Treasury or the Commission, and in this case, I would like to imagine that this is the Kenya Revenue Authority, the proposals that it intends to use for collection of taxes, levies, or fees. Honorable Speaker, one important point under Clause 4 that is very, very crucial, that these proposals will have to specify certain things that are key to prudent use of financial resources set out under Article 210 up to 200 up to 210. One of those is that there must be particulars of the authority under the county government that is going to collect tax. Why is this important? It is important that we know what mechanism or entity or organ is entrusted to collect tax. You have a situation in which county governments will engage private companies to collect fees for them, fees which we do not know how, to what extent, how much, and how they are remitted. It actually says here that other than specifying who is the collecting entity, the method likely to be used in enforcing compliance, the compliance burden on taxpayers, and more importantly, what is the impact on individuals and businesses. One of the things that must come out clearly in this bill, and which I think we should propose in terms of the third reading, is what we find under Article 201 of the Constitution up to 209, that the benefits of taxation must be shared equally, so that as we delegate the power to collect taxes to the county government, it cannot be that the people who voted or didn't vote for or did not support a current county government will suffer under development arising out of taxation that everybody, without exception, is required to share the burden of. So the benefits and distribution of the county government levies and fees that are collected must percolate down to the every corner of the ward. One of the key tenets of our Constitution, and especially Article 118, is a requirement to consult, seek views, and have public participation. Right now, the National Assembly is embarking on an amendment to our finance bill, and it is important to note that very, very extensive public participation is required to be conducted. So it will behoove our county governments to ensure that even as they collect views which they will submit to the Kenya Revenue Authority and the National Treasury on the fees that they will levy. The people must be consulted on what are these fees, to what extent, what are the impact, and what are the pitfalls that are likely to come as a result of the imposition of these fees. One other clause that I found very interesting also is a provision under clause 5 on waiver and variations. The caveat in this is what needs.
This is a house of rules. And we have protocols that guide how we dress. Is the MP for Funyula properly dressed to be in this house? He looks like a village circumciser from Western Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I want you to rule him out, to find him out of order, because that is not proper dressing. He is in a combat trouser as if he's going for war. And look at his shirt, Honorable Speaker. There is nobody, he's making some people get scared here. He's looking like a circumciser. And you know what that means, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Member for Bumula, I am looking at the MP for Funyula from where I am, and I can see the only unique thing about him is that he's dressed in famous KANU shirt, and I think he's joining the KANU party. The rest of what you are saying, if that's how circumcisers look like, then they are not that dangerous. Proceed, Honorable Luoch.
Honorable Speaker, I was on clause 5 on waivers and variations, and I was bringing to the attention of this House how notoriously the power to issue waivers has been misused, especially on questions of importation. This bill says that whenever it is that the county government is going to embark on issuing any waivers or giving variations on licenses, it must indicate, 1, the reasons for the variation, the economic impact of these variations, and a record must be put into place so that there is a public record what were the justifications as to why the waivers and the variations were imposed. It must not be that variations are used to take away what essentially would otherwise have been revenue that is accruing to the county government and then ending up in the pockets of rich business people, which eventually will find themselves into the pockets of county government officials. Honorable Speaker, the last point that I wanted to say is that one of the things that is important about this bill is to guard against what you call the principle of double taxation. Honorable Speaker, the principle of double taxation has been defined as the levying of tax by 2 jurisdictions on the same income, persons, or financial transactions. This is important, Honorable Speaker, on the first point that I made, that there must be an oversight entity between the national government and the county government. The reason why we must guard against double taxation is also so that to avoid the inhibition of people who want to enter into business, whether they are people who are startup, young people, or foreigners who want to enter our jurisdiction and therefore would be stopped from coming into the country to invest because of double taxation. Honorable Speaker, this is an otherwise good bill. The final point that I want to make is that in the laws that we have under Article 94.5, 94.5 says that nobody or entity has the power to make law other than Parliament. This then means that even the county governments, whatever it is they do in terms of variations, in terms of waivers of fees, these must find themselves into the Assembly or the National Assembly so that we have an opportunity to put our stamp on authority on these before they become law. Otherwise, I support. Thank you.
The Honorable Mishi Mboko.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to support this bill, the County Government Revenue Raising Process Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, this bill tends to give effect to Article 2095 of our Constitution, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, my justification to support this bill lies on 5 points. My point number 1, Honorable Speaker, it is on the issue of standardization and transparency in revenue collection. Honorable Speaker, this bill tends to introduce a standardized process for all the county government, that is the 47 county government, in terms of to impose, vary, or waive taxes, fees, levies, and other charges, Honorable Speaker. By doing so, Honorable Speaker, we will ensure consistency and transparency across all the 47 counties, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when I look at this bill on clause 5 of the bill, it outlines a clear procedure for introducing new taxes or fees, whereby it states the county needs to submit a detailed proposal to interagency committee. The interagency committee is going to be established through this bill, and it's going to have some representative from the national and the county bodies. So it means there'll be some consultation even before we make the final decisions in terms of the taxes, the fees, levies, and other charges. There'll be some consultation so that we ensure we don't jeopardize the national policies, or rather the national policies in terms of economic activities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my point number 2, it is in terms of enhancing oversight through the interagency committee. Honorable Speaker, clause 4, I'm reading here clause 4, it says that it is going to establish interagency committee on county taxes and charges. And as I said previously, it's going to have some membership as representative from both the national and county bodies, Honorable Speaker. This committee is going to review, and it's also going to approve all fees and charges imposed by the county government to ensure that they are fair, they are justified, and also they are in line in national economic policies, and more so in national economic activities, Honorable Speaker. By doing so, Honorable Speaker, we'll also avoid duplication in terms of taxation. In doing so, Honorable Speaker, we'll also assist Kenyans not to be burdened by taxes which are unrealistic, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my 3rd point, it is on the issue of improved economic impact assessment, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill mandates the county government to do a thorough assessment in terms of economic impact on the issue of revenue collection and the processes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if I look on clause 5.2e, which require counties to provide details on estimated revenue to be collected, the economic impact on individual, we need to know how does it impact on the individual, how does it impact on the businesses, how does it impact on the national, in terms of the economic in the national level, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this will also lead to informed decision-making and help to prevent the implementation of counterproductive revenue measures. We have seen some counties are putting some measures in terms of revenue collection, but at the end, the result is negative, or at the end, the result is not favorable. So it's like there is sort of a component of regulation to ensure that any measures we are putting, we are sure that these are the correct measures which they are going to give a very productive results. Honorable Speaker, my other point is alignment with constitutional and legal framework. As you know, Honorable Speaker, this country is being governed by the rule of law. We have the Constitution and we have other related laws. And today, if you're going to have some processes which go against our Constitution, or rather other related laws, then Kenyans are very much enlightened. Anybody will just start some litigations to ensure that everything is complied as per by the Constitution and the rule of law, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my last point, which I want to say about this bill, it is addressing current challenges in county revenue collection, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we know that we have different challenges in our county government in terms of revenue collection, or rather raising the revenue. And one is weak revenue administration structures. Do we have the correct structures? Are the structures effective? Are the structures follow the rule of law? Are they following the Constitution? Are they following the related laws, Honorable Speaker? And most of the counties, you'll see that the structures are just there. All structures from the terms of municipality until today. And when you look at that, it is not effective, and the revenue which are being raised are not maybe what is being targeted, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, furthermore, it supports the implementation of the national policy to support enhancement of county government's own source of revenue, because we need to know what kind of resources do we have as a county. You cannot put a target that this is what I'm going to collect, and yet the resources you have, they are limited. Or rather, maybe the resources you have, they don't generate the income we are anticipating. So whenever we are putting a target, we need to be very optimistic that these are the targets we are putting, and again, we have the resources available which can generate this kind of income, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this bill will also assist in avoiding a lot of corruption and the loopholes and the gaps in terms of collection, raising, imposing the taxes, the levies, the charges. And we also ensure that as Kenyans, they're not going to be burdened. Just a day, maybe a county government will just wake up in a day and say, today we are raising this kind of a levy, or we are raising this kind of a charge, without any proper procedure, without any good public participation, so that Kenyans can be aware of what is happening, and then they prepare themselves to pay that increment in terms of the levy, charges, or the taxes. I support this bill, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Bernard Kitur, Nandi Hills.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, to give me the opportunity to contribute on this very important bill, on the revenue raising process bill of the county government. First of all, Mr. Speaker, this is a very timely bill in that it breathes life to Article 209, continues to build on it, on how the county governments can, working with the national government, on revenue-raising measures. In the onset, Mr. Speaker, Article 209 speaks to the aspect of national economic policies when any levy is being levied, that the county governments must have taxes that allow for national mobility of goods, services, and capital or labor, as well as having equity across the country. Mr. Speaker, when I mentioned that this bill is timely, is because we've witnessed several times where various counties do impose levies and taxes for goods and services that makes business very expensive. You are moving, for instance, from Mombasa to Nairobi, or when you have businesses like of branding of your vehicles, when your vehicle goes from Nairobi to the next county, they are told that you are being levied, or you are being taxed, or you are being charged for having not paid for the same in the next county. So I think the time has come, and indeed rightfully so, that at such time like this, we have a bill that is going to create harmonization of how taxes are being imposed by the county governments. Mr. Speaker, there will be no more haphazard imposition of taxes. In that, when any county will want them to impose a tax, there will be a set out means where you have to explain the reasons why you want to impose those taxes, fees or levies, or charges, so to say, amongst many other things that you have to be able to explain. And not only that, you have to submit to the National Treasury. The creation of the Interagency Transitional Committee, which to me is very representative, having the National Treasury officials, the Commission of Revenue Allocation, Intergovernment Relations and Technical Committee, which of course has been working to actualize what had been placed forth for the, between the county government and national government on how they work, the Council of Governors, and the Kenya Revenue Authority, which has been a body that has been exercising taxes for all this time. When all these agencies now will be working to make sure that any tax that any county is imposing has been harmonized, will create a level playground for this nation in terms of the taxes. I'm also impressed by the fact that we have a 2-year period in which this agency will be, this commission, this committee is given to be able to harmonize all the various counties' taxes and levies, upon which, of course, if they are not able to finish their job, they can still be extended for, but just gives an indication that in under 2 years or so, we are going to have a very harmonized tax regimes or levy regimes in various counties in our country. Mr. Speaker, that to me means a lot. Equally, Mr. Speaker, there have been cases where we've seen county governments sometimes where, of course, in number 6, where a county government may engage Kenya Revenue Authority or any other designated persons in collecting these revenues. We've witnessed in several counties, sometimes there are till numbers and pay bills that have been created for various things. Sometimes we've been told some of those payments are being rerouted into private entities. These are some of the things that this bill is surely going to cure. Mr. Speaker, I want to also mention the bit of the transitional provisions where it says within 3 months upon commencement of this act, county government shall submit a list of all taxes, all the fees and charges imposed prior to the commencement of this act to the Cabinet Secretary for the onward transmission to the Interagency Transition Committee. What then this means, Mr. Speaker, is that any of those taxes or levies or fees that have not been meeting the Article 209 because I continue to say will harmonize and clean up the uneven landscape of tax regimes that are within the various counties, as it were. To that end, again, Mr. Speaker, the aspect of waivers and variations. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, these are things that we had in the past where there have been waivers that have not been well, articulated for. Sometimes it's done not on a proper policy, objective manner. In this part, Mr. Speaker, there are no tax or license fee. There will be no waivers unless a record is provided as to why those waivers are being done. And these are reported to the Auditor General within 3 months when these waivers have been granted. So essentially then, it will mean that any waiver that needs to be done there's a process, a procedure in which it has to be followed. And it must also, of course, explain the economic impact of such variations or waivers, including potential shifts in tax burden and benefits. So any variation going forward, any waivers that has to be done must have an equitable manner. It will not be on the whims of feelings or those in the political class. It shall be standardized. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, when I look at all this, I feel again that this is very timely bill that is going to even the tax regimes, the way the county governments will continue to impose taxes across, and business people will have a predictable environment on doing their businesses. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support this bill.
The Honorable Wilberforce Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And the Speaker, I'll seek your indulgence that, Honorable Speaker, it's unfortunate that the mover of the bill or whoever is representing him in respect of this bill is conspicuously absent. So, Honorable Speaker, probably whatever we are talking about here is just music to our own ears. Nobody cares to listen and ensure that it's transmitted to. Honorable Speaker, I didn't know when did you become a representative of the majority party leader. Honorable Speaker, this bill raised some fundamental issues that requires to be interrogated soberly, objectively, and devoid of romantic obsession with the politics of the day. Honorable Speaker, the country in its wisdom created 2 levels of government, and in creating 2 levels of government, they made safeguards in respect to ensure that all levels of government operate independently and complementarity. Honorable Speaker, I see this bill as a mere duplication. Honorable Speaker, I see this bill as a mere duplication of the existing acts of parliament. Honorable Speaker, I want to draw to the National Assembly, to the leader, the majority party, and the people of Kenya, that, Honorable Speaker, whatever this bill purports to address or cure is already taken care of, Honorable Speaker, under the PFM Act, Public Finance Management Act. Honorable Speaker, likewise, Honorable Speaker, when you look at the provisions of the constitutions that are explicitly clear on the processes to be undertaken, to be followed in the preparation of budgets and imposing revenue collection measures. So, Honorable Speaker, this bill cures really nothing. Honorable Speaker, this year, on 28th June 2024, this Parliament, this National Assembly, passed the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Act, number 8 of 2024. It was accented to by the President on 28th June 2024 and is due to come into operations on 29th December 2024. So whatever this bill is trying to do is already covered for. Honorable Speaker, when you go to Public Finance Management Act, Honorable Speaker, all the way from Section 132 that deals with revenue-raising measures of county government is explicitly clear on what the processes and the stages to be undertaken. So everybody, I would wonder, for what purpose is this particular bill, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, you go to Article 2093 of the Constitution of Kenya, provides that the counties are authorized to raise taxes in forms of property rates. Honorable Speaker, this House, the other week, last week, we passed the mediated version of the National Rating Act, or National Rating Bill, which I do believe probably by now is already accented to. So essentially, whatever it's purporting to cure here is already taken care of, Honorable Speaker, by that particular Act of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, the other areas the county governments are authorized to levy taxes or interest or anything is in the amount of entertainment taxes and others that by legislation might permit. Honorable Speaker, is my submission, those kind of aspects are already covered for under the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Act. Honorable Speaker, when you look even under this bill, there is nowhere under Article 209, Article 210 of the Constitution that requires the National Parliament or Parliament, whether National Assembly or National or Senate, will generate any other bill or any other legislation to guide how the county governments will provide for in terms of taxation. Honorable Speaker, when we talk about the principle of national economic policies, economic activities across county boundaries, or national mobility of goods, services, capital, or labor, the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, does not domicile the determination whether a tax is against national economy, national policy, under its economic activities across the boundaries, or affects mobility of goods and services, either in the national treasury or any amorphous body that's being purported to be here. Neither does it reside that powers under the Commission of Revenue Allocation, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, then the most hilarious part of the bill, let me say so, Honorable Speaker, is clause 8 of the bill that purports to create something called an interagency transition committee to review the taxes, charges, and fees envisaged under Section 7 of this Act. And Section 7 of this Act says the taxes that have been imposed will be taken to be taxes properly imposed. And they were imposed in compliance by legislation as provided for under Article 2095 that allows any taxes imposed in this country must be by legislation. Honorable Speaker, the purported Interagency Transition Committee is actually usurping the powers of Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council established under the County Government Act. Honorable Speaker, what are we talking about? Honorable Speaker, allow me, and I will seek your indulgence. When you go to Section 132, Section 132 of the Public Finance Act, and this relation to county government, it reads, not later than 90 days after passing the appropriation bill, the county assembly shall consider and approve the finance bill with or without amendments. Honorable Speaker, the bill says that if a county government intends to impose any revenue raising measure, it must submit to the National Treasury and the Commission their proposal 10 months before imposition. Yet, the PFM talks about 90 days. So, Honorable Speaker, is it this a contradiction? Is indeed not a contradiction. Are we purporting then to amend the Finance Act? Then in that event, in the memorandum of objects and reason, the bill should have clearly stated so, that we are trying to oust the provisions of the Public Finance Act and imposing a new one. Honorable Speaker, as I said, we are so quick to legislate. We are so quick to legislate to resolve a matter that's of no national importance. Honorable Speaker, the Minority Whip, a few hours ago, in this afternoon city, wondered loudly, and when Honorable Emilio Diamble wonders loudly, it should concern the fabric of this nation. Why are we in a hurry to fix things that are already working? Why are we in a hurry to spoil, to damage the things that are working so that they don't work at all? Honorable Speaker, what this bill purposes to do, Honorable Speaker, is literally to superintend the national government or national treasury to superintend over the works of county governments in blatant contravention of the Constitution. I really sometimes wonder, Honorable Speaker, it is important, Honorable Speaker, that we truly, then Honorable Speaker, just give me a second. Again, under clause 9, the committee shall in consultation 9.2, in respect of the taxes or the revenue raising measures existed before. The committee shall, in consultation with the public, review the taxes, charges, and fees under Section 7 and make recommendation on a label list of such taxes, charges, and fees to the Cabinet Secretary for consideration. What if the Commission or the committee says the bill, the fees, the licenses, the charges, and the taxes that we imposed prior to the coming into effect of this bill were unconstitutional, They were against public spirit. The people of Kenya have rejected.
Honorable Hunde, you have had your bite, 10 minutes. That's strong, and you have made your point. Very strong case. Let's hear from the Honorable
of the House. Honorable Speaker, as it has been outlined in the introduction of the bill, the purpose of this bill, Honorable Speaker, is to be able to regulate the process of tax imposition, Honorable Speaker, at the issues and the interests of the county governments. But Honorable Speaker, this House has gone through, it's packed and it is also short, Honorable Speaker. This particular bill, having gone through it, does not set specific taxes that the county government has to levy or impose, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, this particular part of it, Honorable Speaker, does not take away the innovation or the innovativeness of the county governments and leaderships to be able to do, to think outside the box and know where to levy taxes, Honorable Speaker. This, Honorable Speaker, this bill, Honorable Speaker, to me, is actually speaking to the process with a view of ensuring that the tax imposition, Honorable Speaker, be it in the national government or the county government, Honorable Speaker, or by the county government, is not only standard, Honorable Speaker, but it is friendly and is conforming, Honorable Speaker, to the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, when I look at this bill, Honorable Speaker, I have noted that it has endeavored to define several words, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I happen to have an opportunity to have served in the County Assembly, Honorable Speaker, previously. In the County Assembly, Honorable Speaker, we used to have a lot of issues and back and forth between the definitions of some of these items, especially when it came to PFM, the PFM Act and the County Governments Act, Honorable Speaker. And I am glad that this particular bill has endeavored to define some of those words, Honorable Speaker, in a technical manner to provide exactness, Honorable Speaker, so that we don't have litigations, because most of the litigations that we have are majorly on interpretation of some of the explanations that has been given to some of these words used in those bills, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the provision of the process in terms of the tax introduction and other measures, Honorable Speaker, has been given some timeline that it has to be produced 10 months before the financial year commences, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there has been a problem with budgets in the county governments. The people in the county governments, Honorable Speaker, have this insatiable need to run after time, like someone who has booked a ticket, the flight leaves at 6:10 a.m., and they are busy running with their bags to the airport at 6:11 a.m., Honorable Speaker. And this is exactly what they do down there, Honorable Speaker, and we end up with the circus and the mayhem in the counties where the money is not there, and therefore people who offer services that are very integral to the people, Honorable Speaker, go and down their tools because of the inefficiencies. Honorable Speaker, I hope that this particular provision, that this has to be provided 10 months before the financial year commences, is able to help somehow, not entirely, of course, because there is an array of issues on that matter, Honorable Speaker, but I hope that it will somehow bring some sanity so that people can be able to settle on what they are going to tax and at how much, and then be able to do their budgets and be able to do their the bills, Honorable Speaker, for the next financial year. Honorable Speaker, I have looked at this bill, and I have seen that it is trying to help the issue of double taxation. And I appreciate that, Honorable Speaker, because most of the time we go through double taxation. I come from a county that has the multinationals, the T zones. We had a problem for 4 years, and it is still persistent, Honorable Speaker, because of the levies and some of the levies that we wanted them to give to the county government. And they would always go to court, Honorable Speaker, saying that this is double taxation. You cannot tax items that have been set aside to be taxed by national government, and you come again in as a county government and be able to tax it. Honorable Speaker, I think this is it will be able to help with double taxation, and even with the other items and services that go through the borders of the counties, Honorable Speaker. I hope this is going to help in that part. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, we have a transition clause that I am a bit jittery about, Honorable Speaker. I beg, Honorable Speaker, has the responsibility to be able to deal with these matters. And again, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the proposal, it proposes a 5-member committee. Honorable Speaker, when you look at it, Honorable Speaker, the Interagency Transitional Committee that is by the Cabinet Secretary for the purposes of reviewing all fees and charges imposed by county governments prior to commencement of this act, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have a little problem about this, Honorable Speaker. As much as the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, that in its sense, Honorable Speaker, is able to relate the national government and the county government is here, I still feel a bit inadequate in this particular provision, Honorable Speaker. And of course, I would like to see if we are then able to amend this particular part so that it can make more sense and does not look like it is overstepping, Honorable Speaker. Of course, there's some wisdom in it, but I don't entirely agree with it, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker,